And today in our sermon we were listening to, Father Hoke was talking about that we are the essence of love. Why is it so hard to keep that in our forefront? Why do we go off onto all these other things about that we are kind of made in God's image with this essence of love, but yet we end up with all these terrible thoughts in our minds all the time?
Life as an organism is a lot of work. And we have to get out there and earn it every day just to get food in our bellies and all of that stuff. And it's rough. And so it's not easy. Love is hard work.
It is hard work.
Yeah, love. I mean, we don't appreciate the complexity of love. I think when we hear the word, we tend to think of a sentiment.
Yes.
Of for somebody that we care about, and love is more than that. It's like faith. There's three. Faith is tripartite. It's a belief in the mind. I believe that something is true. Can't know that it is true. I might have reasons for believing it's true. I will have reasons for believing it's true. So it's not like I'm totally in the dark, but I can't see all the way to certainty. So faith is that, but it's also a desire. It's a desire for it's an emotional attachment, and it's a commitment. It's a choice. Well, all of that's true for love too. So I love you, a person, when I believe that your good is as important as my own, when I desire it for you, and when I committed to act on it. So that's what love is. That it's not just a sentiment. There's sentiment in it. It's in that desire. But it's more than that, and it's really hard work. And it's hard to separate it from faith because love becomes easier or more compelling anyway when it's part of a faith that has those same things directed towards God, and where God is kind of brought into our life to help us with it.
Mm-hmm. Faith. You said theology is faith seeking understanding.
Yeah. That's a real old definition for theology. I certainly didn't invent it. That goes back to at least to St. Anselm.
So how do you have it? As well read as you are, yes, I can totally know there's more to life than what I can see. But I wonder, I have a hard time believing that Jesus is the Son of God. I don't know that if I was born on another continent that I wouldn't have religion of a different kind. I am a seeker of, I would always be someone who desires faith. I desire faith. In what you were just speaking about, I desire faith. And I'm committed to desiring faith.
Yeah. And you practice it too.
And I practice it. But how do you have it so with such conviction you do?
Well, we can't force ourselves to faith.
Darn it.
It's so. I mean, it is something that. Ultimately, faith is an action of the Holy Spirit in a person. Thomas Aquinas, for the Summa Theologiae, for every question that he's getting ready to consider, and so we're talking about 5 or 6 volumes of work, thousands of pages. Any question he starts, he's going to take up. He starts with the best objections to his own position. The world would change profoundly for the better if we would all do that. I'm going to tell you I'm going to make a claim. I'm going to tell you something that I think is true. Before I start, I'm going to tell you the 2 best reasons that I know why I'm wrong. And I'm going to start with that. It's Thomas Aquinas. That was his method. That's one of the reasons why I so appreciate him. And I teach him to teenagers. And where reason comes into play, for Aquinas thought this too, is reason is important to kind of addressing stumbling blocks to it. I mean, the mind can put an awful lot in the way of faith. I mean, the world and life do put put things in the way of faith. And so, we need to be able to see past some of the problems and say, well, that looks like an insurmountable problem for me believing that Jesus is the Son of God or that God even exists. And, it does help to have some education to be able to address those things. I mean, if somebody says, evolutionary science, boo, I've just scared you away from your belief in God. Well, it helps to know something about the science, and it helps to know something about philosophy and what's reasonable to believe and what's not, to be able to know, well, you just said boo, but you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So education comes into play. And I would say that a lot of times a little bit of education will upset a person's faith because something that they felt secure in, well, then they found out something that they didn't know was true that presents a problem. So I'm not saying that the road is a smooth road, but I guess I can personally attest that having had a whole bunch of education, that at some point, the more I got, the more it seemed like the deeper my faith got. But I don't think that you can isolate that from other things, because faith is easier when you're also working at love. It's not, if you're not trying to love your neighbor too, it probably gets harder and harder to love God. I think that they're yoked.
Absolutely. I don't know why that is, but it's absolutely true. When you get bitter, God gets farther away.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
So why do we get bitter? Why do we have to struggle with that? Why do we have to get mad because the neighbor keeps blowing his blower while I'm trying to sit out on the front porch?
Oh, my Lord.
No, I'm serious. I get so mad about that.
Yes.
Well, that's my gripe.
Specific and relevant, yeah.
It's a beautiful fall afternoon, and I'm going to go sit on the porch, and the neighbor comes out there with his blower, and I can't sit out there anymore, and it really makes me mad, and then I'm bitter, and then God's just gone.
Yeah. God's going to take a break at that point.
All right, that was too. All right, fine. You can cut that out too, Tom. Carl.
If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the picture of Kerry's face in the center of the screen. For more of Kerry's interviews, click either video on the right of the screen. And as always, thank you for watching.